transported to a local hospital that also died at the hospital. I don't have any additional information on that victim.
Including their age?
Not right now.
Can you go over that perimeter one more time? I think it's a really important piece of information.
Perimeter streets.
So currently we have an active crime scene in our central business district. The perimeter is Green Bay Road to Laurel Avenue, to St. John's Avenue, to Elm Place. And we have police personnel in that area continuing the investigation and clearing businesses and buildings.
Are there people still inside buildings at this hour? Do you know how many more you need to evacuate?
Some people chose to shelter in place and continue to do so. We are working with our law enforcement teams in that area to evacuate them. The Highland Park Police Department is the reunification site for family and friends. If anyone is missing anyone or there's any separated parties, they can be directed to the Highland Park Police Department, and that's located at 1677 Old Deerfield Road in Highland Park, 60035.
So just to clarify, folks outside of that investigation that scene right there do not need to shelter in place in the area?
That's correct. That's correct. There's a heavy police presence in the area and in the community right now.
For those who were transported to the hospital, for any of them children?
At least one of those was a child. Yeah. I don't know whether or not we transported, but do not know the outcome.
Do you know their condition when they were transported?
When they were transported, they were critically injured.
All of them?
Just the child.
The child?
I do. No, I was not given the age range. I'm sorry. We can get that too.
But the child was the one critically injured?
Yes.
What do the injuries range from in terms of those in the hospital right now?
So they were gunshot wounds, and it varied from abdomen to limbs and such, but the crews were on scene very quickly. There was bystanders as well that were rendered aid as well. They were quick to tie tourniquets and do bleeding control, which definitely assisted the fire department on scene.
How long did the incident take place? Do you have any idea how many minutes was left?
Commander?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
How long did the incident take place from the beginning of shooting to the end?
It was very quick. Gunfire was recognized in the area. Police units were actually already on scene for the parade in addition to fire personnel. So it was very expeditious. It was pretty quick, and then the offender had fled the scene.
Do you have any idea how many shots were fired?
I do not at this time. Numerous is what I could tell you right now.
Had your department, in wake of what we saw in Waukesha, Wisconsin, had your department trained for anything like this, or had meetings in terms of parade security after what we saw in Wisconsin?
Yes, the Highland Park Police Department has a high level of training. We historically, currently, and in the future will train in rapid deployment, rapid response. Also, rendering aid is a priority for our agency. And this morning that was done quickly. We were able to get medical personnel in quickly to start evacuating wounded parties. And that also included using police vehicles in addition to fire department ambulance vehicles. And many people self-transported too.
Just touching on that question, there's a high level of training for all agencies in Lake County, and I think that you're going to hear accounts of how quickly Highland Park Police Department responded and did exactly what they were supposed to do. But right now we want to focus on the victims and ensuring we're catching the offender. So the roof was a business, and it looks like access to the roof via a ladder in an alley was unsecure.
Fire escape is a ladder or the ladder was there already?
A ladder that's attached to the building. All right, we can take two more.
Is there any reason to believe that the suspect is in that perimeter that you all are currently investigating right now?
That's what we're still working on determining. We've had dozens of police canines out here, drones, and other technology we're using to locate and see if it can assist us in the investigation.
Any further details on a suspect description or vehicle description?
Not at this time. That initial description does stand. All right. We'll shoot for about 4:15 for the next briefing. Thank you.
You said you have briefings up here on what?
We've been listening in on a press conference, a third that we've received today from the Highland Park Police Department there, with multiple speakers there in law enforcement, including the coroner, giving us a lot of additional information. We don't know the identities of the victims, but what we did learn is that one of the critically injured was a child. We do know that all of the victims at this point who did die, 5 on scene and 1 at the hospital, they were all adults. And we were also learning about the perimeter now that is in place for the shelter in place. Now, they have narrowed that section of the Central Business District from Green Bay to Laurel, St. John's to Elm, and we'll bring you a map of that shortly. But just to give you some perspective, if you're wondering what areas are still cordoned off, where there is an active search going on, and where they are still looking to see if there are any people inside many of those buildings.
And that is, of course, the headline right there. We still have the numbers as 6 dead, 24 hurt. As we heard, 10 were sent to Highland Park Hospital, 6 to Lake Forest, 7 to Evanston. 1 was a walk-in. Gunman still on the loose. Could easily be described as a manhunt at this point. However, we can tell you that authorities are saying that there has been significant progress since the last time we heard from them, and that the shelter in place, again, those 4 roads, and if you live in Highland Park, you know this is about a 10 to 12 block radius. Green Bay Road to Laurel to St. John's Avenue to Elm Place. If you are outside of those 4 parameters, the shelter in place is now been removed.
Yes, I do want to point out that there are dozens of communities at this point who have decided, in the abundance of caution, that even though the shelter in place does not apply to them by any means, that they have decided to cancel festivities. That includes fireworks, even the White Sox fireworks post-game. We want to now give you an idea of some.
See, man, that makes me so mad. That makes me so mad.
Of the events that unfolded earlier with the parade and the gunfire.
Jesus Christ. Oh my God. What a coward. What a
That is the sound
coward.
of that semi-automatic rifle. It's a high-powered rifle, is what we've been told. I guess that's the limitation.
That sounds like a high-powered rifle.
A high-powered rifle that fired about 20 times. The shooting happened at 2nd and Central about 10 minutes after the parade kicked off. The chaos sent people running down the street. And in addition to the 6 people killed and about 24 hospitalized, it's not clear whether they were all shot or if they were hurt in a subsequent stampede.
Yeah, we also learned that when the question was asked of whether they had an identity on this gunman, he said at this point there was nothing he could say about that. So we don't know if that is actually
that
the
means
case,
they
and
don't
they're just
know.
withholding that information, or if they're still at large. We want to go to our Tim McNicholas, because he has been in touch with a family of one of the victims, one of the men that was actually killed out there at the Highland Park Parade. We're hearing from that family now. And
oh my God.
Actually, Tim joins us live.
Erica, just within the last hour, I spoke with a woman who says her grandfather was one of those 6 people who was shot and killed in this parade.
Oh my God, that's
his name
terrible.
was Nicholas Toledo. He was in his late 70s, and his granddaughter tells me that he loved to go fishing, he loved to take walks in the park, and obviously he loved spending time with his family. His granddaughter's name is Kimberly Rangel. She says she was planning on attending this parade with her young daughter, but she says there was a marathon in her neighborhood in Mundelein, so she couldn't make it out, and now she is beyond grateful and thankful for that. Rangel says her mother called her, and she describes this as the most heartbreaking phone call imaginable. Her mom informed her that Nicholas had been shot and killed. A few other family members not only witnessed the shooting, but some of them were injured themselves and had to go to the hospital. They are expected to survive, but they are all devastated.
I think we're all feeling pretty numb. We're all pretty broken inside. I think you hear about these things on the news all the time, but you don't expect it to happen like so close to home, and especially to your family. So it's all kind of affected us really hard. It's a lot.
And I also want to show you a photo of Rangel's young daughter. She said Nicholas was actually visiting here from Mexico. He'd been here for about a month, and during his stay, Rangel's daughter got to meet him and was beginning to forge a bond with her great-grandfather. Now, her daughter has been robbed of that relationship, and Rangel says that makes all of this even more heartbreaking. Live in Highland Park, Tim McNicholas, CBS 2 News.
All right, Tim, thanks very much.
Now we want to go to the statement from President Biden. He released this just about maybe 30 minutes ago, and it says here, Jill and I are shocked by the senseless gun violence that has yet again brought grief to our American community in this Independence Day. He also urged federal law enforcement to assist in the urgent search for the shooter, who remains, as we've said, at large at this time. Members of the community should follow guidance from leadership on the ground, the president says, and he will closely monitor as he learns more about those lives who have been lost, and he will be praying for those who are in the hospital with grievous injuries.
First competent thing that guy said in months. Welcome, everybody. First and foremost, I want to wish all of you a very happy Independence Day, despite the tragic circumstances, obviously. But I hope everybody is having a nice time with friends, neighbors, family, and you're practicing safe fireworks practices, if that's what you're doing. If that's your thing, which is a very American thing to do, is to get your fireworks and have some fun and let the kids play with some sparklers, and I hope you're cooking out and making the best of this godforsaken heat. If you're anywhere in the South right now, you are feeling this. It is rough. And Linda Fontaine, I have my theories on that, but and I'm not going to make this political. I will say certain things that you could interpret as political, but if you take them as political, that is a you problem, not a me problem. But the elephant in the room here. Now, we don't know enough about the victims. We don't know who the shooter is. Someone told me he was the only description is that he was a male of 18 to 20 years old. I don't know if that's true. I didn't hear that confirmed on the on this news clip that we played here. And Sean B, I don't know. The world is getting. The world's always been ugly, people. It just has. It's just that we have lived in a country for the majority of our lives. If you're a child of the 70s, of the 80s, of the 90s, of the early 2000s, even mostly, for the most part, we've lived in our own reality where our society here in the United States of America is a bit more advanced than a lot of other countries where there is so much violence. And I'm not trying to say that America is better in that sense, because America has contributed greatly to the violence in those other countries over the decades. This is a fact. This is indisputable. It's not a question of whether we should have been over there or whether we shouldn't have been over there. That's not what I'm talking about. Doesn't matter what war I'm talking about. Doesn't matter what conflict that we interfered in. None of that matters as far as why. It's undeniable that we did. And then American soldiers come home shocked, shell-shocked, I believe the term used to be before PTSD became the term. But shell-shocked as to what they had to witness and what they had to engage in, because those things don't generally happen here. But slowly but surely, it seems to be becoming more likely that it may progress to that point, unfortunately. And I'm hoping that it does not. I'm truly hoping that it does not, because one thing that Americans generally love is our way of life. We like a peaceful environment. We enjoy living in a peaceful environment. And there's a lot of Americans that are willing to die to make sure that, and ironically speaking, are willing to die to ensure that our environment stays safe, that our children's environment stays safe, that our family's environment stays safe, that our friends, loved ones' environments always stay safe. And of course, my heart goes out to these victims. I don't think, thank goodness, that any children have met their demise. Fortunately, that I don't think that that's happened. Only reports that a child was injured. Hopefully, those injuries are not too serious, and that child will recover. But nevertheless, none of those 6 people and none of the 20 that were injured deserved for this day to be ruined for them and possibly their lives. When it comes to the memories of this day, when it comes to the extent of their injuries and how that's going to affect the rest of their lives. And I'm going to talk about this a little bit too. Sultan of Swing, and you win handle of the day, by the way. You say you're a gun owner and feed your family with a firearm. But something needs to be done. I'm not sure what, but something. Now, this is what I've been saying. But I want you guys to understand something. And Bex is right there with me here. Bex is saying Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws and yet doesn't seem to stop the criminals from getting them. I'm all for responsible gun owners. Very sad what happened. Bex, I am 150,000% in agreement with you on this. That's where I am on this. Every time I talk about this, I lose subs. But I don't care, because this is something that I feel very passionate about. Okay. Okay, apparently I've got some more footage. I'm going to discuss this a little more, people, but let's try to educate ourselves a little bit as this develops, okay? Give me 1 second and let me
There are a few more that we should share with you that we just got into the newsroom. The White Sox have postponed the post-game fireworks show. So the White Sox had sent out some social media information on that. Park Forest has also canceled its parade and its concert. And then 2 more, Rolling Meadows has canceled its fireworks show. And Six Flags Great America up in Gurnee has also canceled its fireworks show. So we're just seeing this continue. A lot of these events.
So basically,
of caution, and it might.
So basically, the 4th of July is ruined for everyone in Greater Chicago. So basically, Independence Day is absolutely ruined. What do you think the motive here was, people? Do you think the motive was someone who was disgruntled? You know, like a kid who didn't like the way his life was going? Because this doesn't sound like a school shooting type situation to me at all. This doesn't sound like your typical mass shooting. This is an act of terrorism. In my opinion, based on what we know so far, it's still early. We don't know. They haven't caught the person. The only way to know is if we find some sort of manifesto or they catch the person and question him. And so see, look, if that's true, Gargar, if that's true, that's an idiot. That's not a very smart person at all. Why would you carry a yellow backpack? I don't know when the last time it was that I saw someone with a yellow backpack. I can't even remember, because it's probably the loudest thing that you could wear. No, I mean, speak your mind. That's all good. All right. So Cherry says that it's a white male, 18 to 20, long black hair, wearing a green or blue top. Police are asking for video footage from around the area. Let's check in to see what they're saying here.
Circling around on their bikes in confusion, trying to figure out what's going on, and then one person take off running, because certainly even with the environment we live in now, people showed up to this parade this morning not expecting anything but to enjoy a 4th of July holiday parade, collect some candy, blow some bubbles, just enjoy the summer day.
That's exactly the plan that literally thousands of people had around Chicago, including my own family. Was just actually doing some exercise this morning, received a call because I was going to be in a little bit later here today for our broadcasts, and then went and checked my phone because I didn't have my phone with me while I was doing that. And our family was preparing to go to one of these parades, and of course it all just gets shut down right away.
Have now been canceled.
Orange. I realize that you're kidding and you're saying, was it Kyle? I can guarantee you that it's somebody that Kyle, in my humble opinion, would have had the instinct to try to protect us from. And I'm going to elaborate on things like that a little bit. And I know a lot of you aren't going to like my opinions. A lot of you are going to agree with my opinions, but a lot of you are going to really dislike my opinions. But these are opinions that I've never been shy about sharing at all. And I was taking a nap. Woke up pretty early this morning and, walked dogs and just, my normal morning routine. And come the early afternoon, I decided to just, lay down and take a nap, and I enjoyed it. And I wake up and Cherry messages me and says, "Oh my God, did you hear what happened?" And immediately I thought of my cousin. Immediately, first instinct was to text my cousin, find out if he's okay, because I have a little cousin. It's not so little anymore. I mean, he's just a couple years younger than me, but he's my little cousin, always will be. And he lives in Chicago. And I wasn't sure exactly where Highland Park is, but he's in the city, and that's more in the suburbs, according to him. So it turns out that he's okay. Of course, I texted him just to see if he was safe. I don't think a 4th of July parade is really his bag, but it might be. He might have just decided, hey, I'm going to go down, take my bike down, and check out the parade. That sounds like something that he might do. So of course I texted him to see if he was safe, and he responded. Before he responded, I texted his older brother, my other cousin, and he reassured me. He said, well, he posted something about an hour ago, and the shooting happened several hours ago. So I'm sure he's fine. And then finally, my younger cousin had texted me back, and so thank goodness my cousin is safe. And ironically, he would not agree with my opinions on this situation. He is someone with very far left opinions and views, and that's okay. And just to make it a point, bringing that up, and in the spirit of Independence Day, in the spirit of the 4th of July, even though I am of Dominican descent, my cousins are of Dominican and Colombian descent, but we were all born here in the United States, and raised here in the United States, and we grew up tight like brothers, man. Most of my comic book knowledge comes from them, because they're avid comic book collectors and always have been. And we grew up watching the same movies and just, basically being close, and, close like brothers. And then we as we became adults, we developed opinions, and this is the hardest time in this country to have opposing opinions. And as I was saying, in the spirit of Independence Day, I am grateful to live in a country to where we have such strong convictions behind our beliefs and opinions, and yet I would do anything for my cousins who have different views and opinions than I do. I would do anything for my brother who has some similar. In this case, I would say that he and I see eye to eye on this. I don't think me and my cousins would, but my brother and I think we would see eye to eye on this issue. But I love that all of us are like brothers, and we grew up as brothers. And those are just our opinions. We might end up in a heated argument. That might happen, but I'm never going to be like, oh my God, I can't respect you because of how you feel about this. That'll never happen. I love them too much. And I think I can safely say that none of them would ever say the same about me. They'll ever do the same about me. As far as, they would, I'm saying they would share the same sentiments that I would in that sense. I'm confident that nothing would ever break our bond as brothers, and cousins, ultimately as family. and I mean stronger than the Vin Diesel Fast and Furious version of family. Stronger than that. You know, we're blood. And in my family, we take that very seriously. But at the risk of sounding very corny, if we took that to that Dom Toretto level, and had that same attitude that me and my brother, my cousins have, if we had that same attitude towards each other as neighbors and as Americans, it would be okay for us to have differing opinions. And we would fight for each other's right to have those opinions, not just your own right to have that opinion, but we would fight for each other's rights to have those opinions. And that, to me, is the spirit of Independence Day. And I feel very strongly about this. Independence Day is one of my favorite holidays. I love the food. I love the fireworks. I love the neighborly sense. If you live in that kind of neighborhood, people are all outside with their kids, lighting up fireworks and sharing and having a good time. If you live in an area where that's feasible to happen, people take advantage of this. They don't just lock themselves in to their own little environment. You know, they invite the neighbors over. Are we doing it at your house? Are we doing it at my house? What are we doing? You know, can't wait to do it. And for most of these people, a lot of these people, not most of them, but a lot of these people, it doesn't mean shit. You know, they don't even really care or know what they're celebrating. They're celebrating that 4-day weekend that they get, and there's fireworks and community involved. You know, and so they love to do that. So that's why I say that this particular horrific tragedy was an act of terrorism. This wasn't an act of angst or mental disability in some way, shape, or form. This was an act of terrorism. Let's listen a little bit.
And I tried to break the glass to get in with my son, and I couldn't break it.
A parent's worst nightmare, frantically searching for a place to duck for cover.
All I knew was I had to keep on moving to get him out of the way and get us to safety. When the shot stopped again, that's when we decided we had to run, so we started shooting again. And we ran behind the building, and I put my son in a dumpster.
I was very terrified.
Wow.
I hid with my daughter actually in a little store that was there, but I was scared because I panicked because I saw people running and like screaming.
It just didn't stop. You know, you wanted to stop, and it just kept on going, and he reloaded whoever that person was, and then he just continued to shoot.
Oh my God, it's got shot!
The carnage visible once the shooting finally ended.
We saw a man that had a shot in his back, and saw a man on the floor bleeding, and another person shot. There was a little boy that was in one of the police officers' arms, and that was the worst experience ever.
Armani Garcia would later learn her best friend's sister was one of those shot.
She was in front of Walker Brothers, the restaurant, the breakfast restaurant. She was actually going to come and sit next to us. And then I'm sorry, you know, for her sister. And, you know, I'm here for her. And I hope that she gets better.
And Garcia is still trying to figure out her best friend's sister's status as we speak right now. Both of those parents holding their children tightly throughout the day, watching this scene unfold and watching as police are still searching for this shooter. Back to you guys.
It is an active situation. Trey Ward watching things for us there in Highland Park. Thank you so much. Let's go to...
You know, to get that idea, to get that sense of how this really affected the people that were there.
Yeah, we're expecting to hear from doctors and hospital officials in just about 20 minutes or so. But at this point, we do know at least 24 victims are being treated here at the Highland Park Hospital. Since then, they've kind of scattered out, transferring many patients to different hospitals in Evanston and Skokie. And as of right now, those numbers could change or get higher. I know a child was among.
Now I know that there's two like really good hospitals in the Chicago area. I know Cook County Hospital is one of them. I'm not sure which one the other one is. But luckily there's actually like two major hospitals that are not too far apart from each other. And so prayers and support towards the first responders and the cops and the medical the people in the medical field that are saving lives right now.
And then I looked up at the Ross Cosmetic building, and he was shooting from there. So he was shooting towards from Ross Cosmetics. He was right in the corner. We were in the corner of Central and Second.
Hold on.
Young daughter. Both of those parents holding.
Sorry, I want to hear what she was saying from the beginning, because she says she saw the shooter. So
police are still searching for the shooter. Back to you guys.
It is an active situation. Trey Ward watching things for us there in Highland Park. Thank you so much. Let's go to our Mayor Kawash. He also is live. He's over at the Highland Park Hospital where some of the victims were taken, and as well, doctors should be speaking soon. Mayor?
So there's also the Highland Park Hospital, and that's not even one of the hospitals I was talking about.
From doctors and hospital officials in just about
But
20
again,
minutes or so.
I think the hospitals that I'm referring to are like closer to downtown, which is far away from this, pretty far. So I doubt that any of those, unless this Highland Park Hospital is understaffed, I wouldn't imagine that those other hospitals would be treating those victims. So.
But at this point, we do know at least 24 victims are being treated here at the Highland Park Hospital. Since then, they've kind of scattered out, transferring many patients to different hospitals in Evanston, and Skokie.
Okay.
And as of right now, those numbers could change or get higher. I know a child was among those that was transferred for orthopedic reasons, but we're expecting to learn more about those conditions when we hear from doctors in just a bit. At this point, we've seen police securing the entire hospital, including several surrounding streets. They're even escorting nurses, hospital staff to their cars as they leave the hospital. And we did talk to one woman earlier. She was here checking on a loved one who suffered some minor injuries at the shooting, but she described some of that initial chaos to us. Take a listen.
As soon as I turned into my right-hand side, I looked, because I was trying to see where it was coming from. And then I looked up at the Ross Cosmetic building, and he was shooting from there. So he was shooting towards from Ross Cosmetics. He was right in the corner. We were in the corner of Central and Second Street.
Could you make out any
description? No, I mean I can't really see the person. It was just like he just had his gun shooting towards the pavement or the people.
See, that makes sense. You know, some of you might be saying, well, if you saw him shooting, how can you not describe him? Blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, if you're looking up and someone is using the edge of the building as a way to steadily hold their rifle, you're not going to see much else but the rifle. You know what I mean? Like, you're if you're looking up at somebody who's in an elevated position to shoot down at people, I don't imagine that you'd get much of a description as far as even what that person's even wearing. So before anybody starts going, well, how could you think that? How could you not see what he was wearing? Well, that's why you wouldn't be able to see what the shooter was wearing. And, you know, again, for those of you who are just joining, I want to wish you guys a happy Independence Day despite these horrible circumstances. I hope everybody's having a safe and fun and relaxing holiday, especially those of you have bust-ass jobs where you got the day off, you got the 4-day weekend going on, and I'm really hoping you're making the best of it with your family and loved ones. Well, I mean, there's no way to confirm whether or not it was an AR-10. I mean, you know, until they catch the guy or until they actually pool rounds and make an official statement based on the rounds that they found that were fired. There's no way to tell what type of weapon was actually used just yet. But you could theorize, if you're familiar with guns, I would imagine, as to what they sound like and whatnot. Oh, he left it behind. Interesting. Now, that would make sense because carrying a rifle would absolutely draw attention to yourself. Let's see what this guy has to say.
I thought I should do, which is not leave and try and help a little bit. But at the same time,
This guy's a hero right here.
You know, it's happening in everyone's community. Somebody with a gun perched up on a building taking aim on two corners. That's where all the people...
That's not happening in everybody's community, my friend. I'm grateful that you were helpful, but...
body bags over them immediately. Their bodies were blown up. The other injuries were non-life threatening, but nonetheless, those people were shot going to a parade. They went to a parade.
Simply horrific. And again, the search for that gunman continues. And even though this...
So the number for injuries just keeps going up. The last, just a few minutes ago, was 24. Now it's saying it's 31.
Now, there doesn't seem to be an urgency in the way that there was a couple of hours ago, which leads us to believe that they might think that this gunman has left this immediate perimeter
Bex.
and are probably
He
concentrating
was shooting from Ross Cosmetics rooftop, apparently.
their search elsewhere at this point. Live in the Central Business District in Highland Park, I'm Michelle Gallardo, ABC7 Eyewitness News. Back to you in the studio.
All right, Michelle. Stand by. A couple of questions for you as you're right there. Earlier, we heard from the officials that there was a lot of use of canines and drones, and it's slightly cloudy out there right now. I know that the airspace there, FAA just tweeted that the airspace is restricted. What are you feeling about all that? You've been around these kinds of situations before, about how active this investigation is around where you are right now.
What?
So, Ravi, we have seen the use of a drone earlier in the day. They were being used about a block away from where we are now, concentrating in the area.
Okay, now they're just talking about basic common sense search methods. I am Ezekiel. You're saying, and no mental illness? Who does that? Well, we don't know if there was any mental illness involved because they haven't caught the person yet. I'm confident that they will. And this is what really bothers me, if I'm being completely honest. What really bothers me right now is the sorry to say this, guys, but it's not the police that concern me as far as searching for this person and executing an arrest or otherwise. It's not that I don't have confidence in the police. I don't have confidence in the police in the higher ups, politically speaking, in Chicago, meaning the mayor, namely. I don't have confidence in her. I don't have confidence in just the overall politics taking over Chicago in a situation like this. Unfortunately, I just don't. And I realize a lot of people are like, this is one of those things where people are saying more gun control, more gun control. Well, guys, Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the United States, and yet this happens. I'm going to say that one more time. Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the United States. No, this isn't political. You know, some of you guys are like, oh my God, you know, the politics. Here we're going to get into politics, left versus right. No. I am not talking to you as a person on the left, a person on the right, or even a person in the middle. I'm not even talking to you as a person in any of those positions. I'm talking to you as a patriot of the United States of America on Independence Day, where people who were trying to celebrate this died. People who were simply trying to celebrate this died, and they died for trying to celebrate this day. Curious AF, you're right. My point being is, if you outlaw guns, do you really think that that's going to stop something like this from happening? This right here is proof that that's absolute and utter bullshit. You can't stop violent people from being violent. And by the sound of this, this was a domestic act of terrorism. This was somebody who was probably born here, takes advantage of our independence, of their independence as an American, takes it for granted every single day, and abuses it by complaining about the land that they live in because they have some sick sense of entitlement. And probably now let's talk about something else here. You remember the other shooter? Not the last one, but the one before that. I covered that one. I can't even remember where it was because so many of them happened. It was the grocery store shooting. And this dude wrote a manifesto. And in his manifesto, he was basically saying that, I mean, it's proof that he planned the shooting. And what he was trying to do was to create stricter gun laws. What's it going to take, people? Do you think that somebody, yes, it was Buffalo. Thank you, Platform Boots. I wanted to say Buffalo, but I didn't want to be wrong. I'd rather sound ignorant than just plain wrong. Well, I'd rather sound stupid than ignorant is a better way to put it. But this was some sort of half-cocked attempt to inspire stricter gun laws. And here's this person who's so anti-gun, he decides that he thinks that it's some sort of act of poetic justice or act of poetic irony to make the statement by killing people with a gun. That type of extremism. John Curtis, I see where your cynicism's coming from, and that's extremely cynical. You know, but what's weird is, to a certain degree, I agree with that to a certain degree. That's a little overly cynical for my taste. You're saying every child that is growing up in these times will be a mental case by adulthood. No, not necessarily. Not necessarily. That's a bit of a far right kind of way of looking at things. And that's why it's not right to look at this from a political aspect. I'm trying to offer a non-political opinion here. Because it doesn't matter if you're on the right or if you're on on the left or in the middle. It doesn't matter. Because every single one of you, no matter who you are and what you believe in, if you live in the United States, you love your freedom. Either you take it for granted or you were grateful for it. That's what it boils down to. But either way, you love and take advantage of your freedom of being an American. That is indisputable. All the far left who decide that they want to protest, all the far right that decide they want to assemble and rally. You're taking advantage of your First Amendment rights. You hide behind it even to justify shitty behavior. You hide behind it. You say, well, I have the right. It's in the First Amendment. Look it up. You can't arrest me because I am an American and I'm exercising my First Amendment right. Whether you're on the left or you're on the right, that is the argument that you have in order to do whatever you're doing. And this isn't one of those cases, people. I know you guys have heard me state the case that, you know what, if more people were armed, and I still believe this, I stand by that. But in this particular case, that wouldn't have helped. Likely, it wouldn't have helped. I don't have a military background, but anybody with a military background will tell you that the advantage of a shooter is to be in an elevated position. You could pick people off. It's going to be a lot harder from somebody looking up at you to get you when you have that vantage point of being in an elevated position and looking down and shooting. So in this particular case, I do not believe that if everyone was armed, that would have saved lives. Not necessarily. No, I don't. Unless there was somebody who anticipated this and happened to be on another rooftop watching over and doing a Kyle Rittenhouse and just like, you know what? I want people to have a safe time and I'm going to make sure that this shit doesn't happen. Which, guess, by the way, maybe not in Chicago, but that will probably happen in other cities. Because of this, someone will decide to cowboy up, for lack of a better term, arm themselves and get some sort of approval from law enforcement to be able to do this. But unfortunately, they probably won't. But that's what it would take. Hopefully, there would be law enforcement officers that are positioned on rooftops and keeping an eye out for anybody and any suspicious behavior. But it really sucks that it's come to that, doesn't it? That people just can't expect to show up to a public gathering and enjoy their Independence Day with their family and loved ones. Let's see what this guy has to say.
And within a very short amount of time started to receive a number of ambulances, from the emergency medical services system. We received in total about 26 total patients, 10 of which were transported by ambulance. During that time, in a very short amount of time, we had nearly 20 additional physicians and more than 20 additional nursing and support staff here in our emergency department, as well as in other areas of the hospital, to help take care of the patients that were brought in. And all of those individuals came as a result of following our protocols. We also put in a extra safety or security protocol where we locked down the hospital. Hence why we're meeting out here in the parking lot as we continue to try to maintain a very safe environment in our hospital for our patients and our staff.
Doctor, could you talk a little bit about the injuries?
So of the 26 individuals that showed up here at Highland Park Hospital, 25 of those did sustain gunshot wound injuries. Some of them were minor, some of them were much more severe, and some of those patients were in critical condition when they did arrive here to the hospital.
Any commonality between the gunshot injuries? Were they all different parts of the body?
They were all different parts of the body, extremities, as well as other more central parts.
This guy's a hero. Like Greg Kinnear is going to play this guy in a movie. Watch.
5 who came in with gunshot wounds. 19 of those individuals were able to be treated and actually discharged home after they had had their full medical evaluation and treatment. Several others did arrive in more serious conditions and did have to be admitted. We had one that had to be transferred over to Evanston Hospital under the care of our great neurosurgical team. We had a couple of other patients that need to be admitted to either our trauma surgical team, which are represented here, as well as to some of our orthopedic trauma surgeons.
Doctor, can you give us an age range of what you were treating?
Absolutely. So the age range ranged from about 8 years old was our youngest patient, up to 85 years old.
How many children?
I can't give you a specific number on the number of children, but it was definitely around 4 or 5.
What happens in an emergency room when you get that many gunshot victims coming in at once?
Well, we immediately have to make space for all these patients to come in, and hence why I commented before how we use some internal processes to mobilize resources. Our wonderful surgical and trauma staff were immediately alerted through emergency messaging that we had a number of patients that were going to need emergency medical services and their evaluation. On top of that, many other emergency physicians, pediatricians, internists, surgeons, trauma surgeons, anesthesiologists, and others were also notified and mobilized to help take care of the number of patients that were coming in.
Your staff looks, of course, shaken up. What is this like? You have to deal with such a massive casualty of trauma.
Well, I think, listen, there's been a lot of different events that have happened in the United States, and this obviously now has hit very close to home. It is a little surreal to have to take care of an event such as this, but all of us have gone through extensive training. We go through a number of different programs, training. We practice for these events, even though we hope never happen. And so I think our team very admirably handled the situation today. Of course, we provide services that include social work, and we have others involved that our team, as well as our patients, will have a chance to talk to therapists and counselors to debrief after something that is so traumatic.
This guy was made for the camera, bro. It's like he was made for this.
So families have all had the opportunity to actually come into the hospital and wait. We had liaisons working with those family members, and all of those family members have been.
Now, this comment that I got highlighted here, Angela, Florida 24, you gotta love America. I'm sensing some sarcasm there, but you know what? I do. I absolutely love America, and today especially, I love America. I love America not just for my freedom, but I love America because we have people like this that make it a priority to take care of their neighbors. Of course, it's sad that it had to happen, but I'm not going to blame America for that. That's asinine. It's ridiculous.
And now with this absolutely upsetting and tragic mass shooting, they came to the call to duty. They were fantastic. Multiple nurses taking care of one patient at a time because there's family members. Emotional support is needed. Advanced trauma care, advanced emergency care, EMS personnel. So amazing squad of nurses. Very proud of them. I'm very, very thrilled to call them my colleagues.
Freedom.
Yes.
Clarify some of the numbers. You said 26 patients were taken here, 25 were in families, and then 19 were discharged, but one person was taken to Evanston.
Yeah, so actually we had two patients that were transferred to Evanston, one of them to get further neurosurgical care. One of them was also a pediatric patient, and so our inpatient pediatric unit is over at Evanston Hospital. We had another patient who was transferred over to Skokie Hospital, which is our orthopedic specialty hospital, and another patient who was transferred down to Comer Children's Hospital after getting some emergency surgery. I would also like to add that our nursing staff were phenomenal, but the gentlemen that stand behind me here and ladies that stand behind me provided amazing emergency surgical and orthopedic care. With me is Dr. Talamonte and Dr. Andy Agos, who helps run our trauma surgery program, and the response that they made, the time in which they
So why
allowed
is-
to help support and take care of these patients was absolutely phenomenal.
That's a legitimate question. Because I see a lot of people are getting annoyed with John Curtis here in the chat. Let's explore that, because I don't want people fighting in my chat. So let's tackle this issue real quick. Why wasn't there security drones patrolling the rooftops? Well, maybe it's because they didn't feel the need or think that anybody would stoop this low. Now, unfortunately, there will be a need moving forward. I would criticize anybody for not having security drones or helicopters patrolling to make sure everything is safe. Now, I would criticize. You know what? The more I think about it, I would say that I agree with you. Look at what happened in Boston. I mean, that was a parade in Boston, and then somebody let off a bomb. People died. And I'm sure security measures have been taken since then. But Boston is not the difference between a town like Boston and a town like Chicago, because this is what really bothers me. Everything has been canceled in Chicago. Chicago's Independence Day has been canceled. This guy got what he wanted. What this guy set out to do with his act of sheer cowardice, his disgusting act of sheer cowardice, he won. He got what he wanted. Because unfortunately, a town like Chicago is going to buckle. Sorry if you're from there, but it's the truth, because we're seeing it right now. Because I don't think that Independence Day should be canceled because of this situation. You up your security. Chicago is one of those towns where everybody was like, defund the police. The mayor of that town let that city just get run over because it was politically convenient for them. That's a fact. I don't care if you're on the left or you're on the right. I don't give a shit. That's a fact. That happened. That mayor just pooled resources because she was afraid of political backlash from everybody who was upset about the George Floyd situation. We're all upset about the George Floyd situation. All of us. We're all upset about it. But you don't pool resources. You up them in situations like this. Hire more internal affairs investigators. Police the cops. Don't defund the cops. Don't pool cops. Investigate the cops. Police the police. Make sure they're doing their fucking jobs. But the fact is this guy won. He pulled off exactly what he was trying to do. He wanted to shut down Independence Day. He wanted to shut down the 4th of July in Chicago, and he totally fucking did it. When the alternative would have been, no, this guy's not going to win. What we're going to do is we're just going to up security everywhere. We're going to take volunteers. Anybody who is willing to volunteer and step up and help us monitor so that everyone in this city can enjoy their Independence Day, celebrate their freedom. Anybody, any set of eyes willing to volunteer. I would have volunteered. Absolutely 100%. I would have volunteered. For that reason. Oh shit, I didn't know that. Sorry, my TV's like on pause, and you know how it has like a screensaver? Comcast gives you like a screensaver, and there's like the temperature, which is goddamn 91 degrees. And I don't have AC in my room. This sucks. But it was also saying that it was Tom Cruise's birthday. I didn't realize that Tom Cruise was actually born on the 4th of July. You know, he did a movie playing a character who was born on the 4th of July and was paralyzed from an injury from Vietnam. The movie Born on the 4th of July. Tom Cruise played that role, and he was actually born on 4th of July. I did not know that. Now I do. Sorry. Kind of glad I saw that because it kind of took me away from my rant. Let's see if there's any updates.
And of those 26 gunshot wounds, 19 of those folks have been treated and released. So there's some good news there. Let's go back out to Highland Park, and Trey Ward standing by with more details. Trey?
Yeah, you guys can really hear the heartbreak in those doctors' voices talking about the impact of this shooting on those victims. But for the witnesses, likely they'll live with these images for the rest of their lives. We actually spoke with two parents.
Why does everybody hate Tom Cruise so much, man?
Near the stage area when the gunfire rang out. He was able to take his 5-year-old running for their lives. He took his 5-year-old and put him in a dumpster to protect him from the
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about that
during this festivity.
Like, so this dude, in order to keep his kid safe, put his kid in a dumpster. Now, I understand the whole like, okay, well, I'm panicking. I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep my kid safe. But I mean, I would have got in that dumpster with my kid. I wouldn't have just stuck him in a dumpster. You know what I mean? You know, I would have gotten in that dumpster and covered my child completely.
Comforting that young boy. He said it really shows that despite this tragedy, that the strength of this community is really unwavering. Back to you guys.
You know, Trey Ward standing by with that kind of reporting and testimony. He's been there. The rain is now coming down in Highland.
I feel like the strength of that community is somewhat debatable. Now, are they pulling together to help each other? Absolutely. The strength in that community is great when it comes to that right now. But they shut down. They buckled to this guy. You know what I mean? They buckled to this guy. And it wasn't even the people. Like, how many of those people that are White Sox fans, right, are sitting there going, dude, just because of this asshole, I can't do this parade that I've been planning to take my family to. I can't do this community get together that I've been planning to take my kid to because we're major White Sox fans. You know what I mean? Like, that must suck. It's canceled. You can't go. Why not give people the freedom to go or not? And some might argue, well, it's out of respect and observance for the 6 people that were lost. I understand that, but I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. You can't have one of these events and dedicate 5 minutes to observe that loss, have a moment of silence. You know what I mean? That's how it used to be. You acknowledge that it happens, but you don't let a terrorist terrorize you. You don't let the terrorist win. And I get that they don't have them yet. I understand that they don't have them yet. Up the security. Because I know people are going to be like, well, why, if he shows up at another event, starts shooting people, they're going to be like, why didn't they shut it down? Why didn't they cancel it? I'm explaining to you why they shouldn't have canceled it. I'm saying there are other communities that would have been like, you know what? Fuck that. What do I need to do? What can I do to make sure that Independence Day isn't fucked for the whole city? There are other communities. That's why I say it's debatable, because there are other communities that would have been like, nope, nope. Sorry. You're not going to win, terrorist man. No, that's my point, Curious AF. You're absolutely right. They probably had no choice but to shut it down. That's why I'm saying other communities, other cities, right? They don't have the resources now because this mayor has made her police force sound like the bad guys for the last year. I mean, am I wrong? So there's cops that are in that city that don't even want to be cops anymore because they're unappreciated. And crime has escalated to a ridiculous level in Chicago. Crime has escalated to a ridiculous level. Because, yeah, you're right. Ultimately, the right thing to do, unfortunately, the responsible thing to do is to shut down the city, right? But that's only because it's a result of a weak mayor and her decisions. That's only a result of that. Because there are other cities where that shit wouldn't have happened. That shit's not going to you think that shit's going to happen in like Nashville? You think you're shutting down 4th of July in Nashville because somebody shot 30 people? That's not going to happen. You think it's going to happen in Atlanta? That's not going to happen. You think it's going to happen in Boston? That's not going to happen. No, dude, it's a total. I'm not going to get too deep into this, but Curious AF is saying guns in Illinois are coming in from other states. Go after the sellers. And then what? You don't think they're already doing that? You don't think that they've been going after cocaine and heroin coming in from Colombia, from Thailand? You know what I'm saying? Yet it still gets here. A cokehead is a cokehead. Where do you think that cokehead is keeping his habit going from? Because that cokehead supplier steadily gets that product and keeps that person in demand satisfied because there's constant flow coming in. How are you going to stop guns coming in from other states? If you can't stop cocaine from coming in from other countries, you think you're going to stop a gun from coming in from a state? All you got to do is drive it over and go the speed limit. That's all you got to do. Because guess what? Since crime is up in Chicago now, right? Bear with me. Stay with me, folks. Since crime is up in Chicago now, well, guess what? The demand for illegal operations is up. Well, shit, that's a hell of a way to make money. Some asshole can't walk into a store and buy a gun now. So guess what? That's a way for me to make money since I'm a criminal piece of shit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get in my Prius and I'm going to drive across state lines, bring a bunch of guns in, just go the speed limit and look inconspicuous, and I can make a living doing that. How many people in Chicago do you think are doing that right now? How are you going to stop that? How are you going to stop that? People drive across state lines all the time. Don't even get pulled over once. Happens all the time. Happens millions of times a day. Literally millions of times a day does somebody drive across state lines and not get pulled over. How are you going to stop that? And since gun laws are so strict in Chicago, the demand for this criminal enterprise is up. Supply and demand, people. Supply and demand. Basic economics, folks. A manager at McDonald's can understand this. Literally, a manager at McDonald's can understand and comprehend this concept. Dude, I love Chicago. Like, I love being there. Until the lineup got super commercialized, my favorite thing to do was to go to Riot Fest. Visit my cousins in Chicago. We'd go to Riot Fest every September. It was fucking dope. I mean, I only got to go twice, but I got to start doing it too late. And then now I'm just like, you know, I still like to go visit my cousins, but I don't want to pay the money for a ticket for 3 days of bands that I don't want to listen to. You know what I mean? Like 4 years ago, Riot Fest was the shit. Now it's like Incubus, you know, like, no, thank you. I'm good. Now it's like, you know, The Offspring. I'm good. Thanks. Yeah. I mean, not anybody and everybody. Common sense restrictions like, you have to be 18. Sure. And the reason why I say this, because you're like, what? Felicia C sitting there listening to my response going, what? What the hell, Will? You're nuts. What kind of solution is that? Well, I mean, tell me somebody who is driven enough to want to shoot people they're not going to get a gun however means that they want to get a gun. You think that they're just going to give up because they can't walk into a store and buy a gun? That's just going to that's going to waver their agenda? I'm sorry. That's not realistic. That's just not realistic. But if decent people were armed, more decent people were armed, indecent people would be less likely to form that agenda and carry out that agenda. They would be too scared because there'd be too many decent people ready and armed to put them the fuck down. That is a fact. Now, in this case, in this particular case, I don't think that would have helped necessarily. I think that more manpower, I think that more police in that area probably would have helped prevent it. Maybe, in theory. I don't know the circumstances of the situation. I don't know I wasn't there for roll call, at that particular police precinct. I don't know. But in theory, oh God, here we go. More guns equals more deaths. I disagree. More guns equals less deaths. More guns in the hands of criminals and less in the hands of people who are decent, hardworking, freedom-loving Americans? Sure. Yeah. More deaths. Less deaths if decent people with guns outnumbered the indecent people with guns. Less death. Absolutely 100%. Because those indecent people would be afraid. Because those indecent people are generally cowards. And they would be afraid to get shot. They would be afraid to be put the fuck down, as they should be. That's a good point, John Curtis. That's a good point. Today you're a decent person. Tomorrow you're a nut job. Okay. Yeah, anybody could lose their shit. Sure. But it's not that great of a point because that means that implies that like everybody's going to go nuts one day. Like all in one day. like a Jordan Peele movie. Everybody's just going to all of a sudden snap. No, dude. Good point, Catherine 662. And in the theory of a madman, they lie to get what they want, including a gun. Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. Somebody who's that driven to execute their agenda is going to get the tools to do it. Doesn't matter if they're illegal, doesn't matter. They're going to find a way to get the tools to execute their agenda. It's just facts. That's just fucking basic psychology, man. Uh-oh. Okay, hold on.
Doing that right now. So we give our law enforcement some time to do their job and try to apprehend him safely.
Where's he from?
He's from the area.
He's from Highland Park?
From this area. We'll have more on that later. Additionally, we will have photos going out shortly of him and a similar vehicle that he is believed to be driving.
What's the first letter of his last name?
C. Charles Primo.
Do you have any updates on those members?
What? They got an ID on the guy. Hell yeah.
We don't have updates. Again, the reunification post at the Highland Park Police Department is still there.
Oh, this guy's
Anybody
fucked.
that's been separated or looking for family, they should be going there.
That was a silver Honda Fit.
Can you say that again, the whole name and the license plate?
His name is Robert. He goes by Bobby. Middle initial E is in Edward. Crimo, C-R-I-M-O, the third. He's 22. And again, he's believed to be driving a 2010 silver Honda Fit, Illinois license DM 80653. Okay.
Wow.
We'll be back up with more updates, and we'll let you know how our apprehension efforts are going. Thank you.
A Honda Fit, folks. Okay. He's 22. He's a third generation. Right? He's a third generation. Bobby Crimo, 22 years old, third generation, long hair, Robert Crimo the third, Robert Bobby Crimo the third, and it's Highland Park, the suburbs, right? I mean, let's profile this guy. Let's do a layman's profile on this kid. Okay? I'll let you guys do that in the chat. I don't think they have him. I think that they just have an ID on him. Chicago. Right? Chicago, total liberal city. You know, I'm kind of feeling the same way there. Driving a Honda Fit because it's because it's environmentally friendly, y'all. You know, he's conscious of the environment. This Bobby Crimo the third. Totally. Susan Gaines, spoiled little rich kid. Totally. Driving a Honda Fit because it's environmentally friendly, yet he wants to blow away people. Innocent people. Children. Why? To make a point? Yep. These mass shooters tend to be young white men, general failures at life prior to violent attacks. And what's funny is they're always young, though. That's what bothers me, Anna Lissette, is they're young. How are they failures at life when they're so young? Dude, 22, you're a baby. You've only been legally allowed to drink for a year. That's the average age that somebody graduates with a doctorate. You know what I mean? Yeah, the shooter is totally woke, quote unquote. Amy Jane, I totally agree with you. I totally agree with you. It totally does, man. It totally does. Because a gun nut, you know what I mean? Like a far right gun nut, probably driving a truck. He's probably driving a gas guzzling truck. No, Joey Chaz, I don't think so. I seriously doubt it. Oh, Cherry, don't quit. Bet there's a coexist bumper sticker on it. Something anti-American next to it. Yeah. No, see, you want it to be a Bible thumper. You want it to be. But I mean, right now we're just speculating. We're guessing. You know what I mean? We don't know. Based on the description that we have, right? And you're saying he's a white Nazi sympathizer. Maybe it's possible, but I'm going to say no. I'm going to say yes and no at the same time, because that Buffalo, New York, that Buffalo, New York shooter, he was a white Nazi sympathizer as well. Actually, he was of Jewish descent and a white Nazi sympathizer. And yet he believed in socialism. He was I believe a Marxist or a Leninist. Which translates to socialist, fascist. I've got words. Email it to. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. And then Cherry will send it to me. What does hip hop have to do with anything? Who the fuck's talking about hip hop? Who the fuck's talking about what music people listen to? Nobody's bringing that up. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Let's see what else we got going on here.
High-powered rifle at this hour as well. But we do want to play you some sound from just moments ago of local law enforcement describing who they're looking for and why we should all take him very seriously.
We have teams out very actively trying to apprehend this individual. He is considered armed and dangerous. Community should not approach him. If they see him, know his whereabouts, see the vehicle, dial 911. We are considering him very dangerous.
And we are expecting a news conference later this evening from Governor J.B. Pritzker as well to discuss what happened. And we should also be getting a separate news conference with any sort of update from local law enforcement around 6 o'clock. Again, providing more information. Law enforcement has done such a tremendous job keeping us actively updated as this chaotic scene continues to unfold right here in Highland Park. Of course, we are going to be live throughout the rest of the day into tomorrow, bringing you the latest information.
So Kelly Green, she's somebody who attends my chat quite a bit. She's a very valued supporter and subscriber. But you're not going to hear this till later, but you're way behind. I would encourage people to, if you're not watching me live, to save your comments for the comment section and not the chat, because it just kind of throws people off.
Dumpster to protect him from the raining bullets. One mother said that she was with her little daughter and had to seek shelter in a nearby restaurant. This is what they had to say about what they heard.
No, not yet, LV.
Things turn violent.
didn't stop. You know, you wanted to stop, and it just kept on going. And he reloaded whoever that person was, and then he just continued to shoot. And there was no like target; it was just shooting whoever.
I remember hearing shootings and going like, that's, and then reloading, and then again, and people screaming and running. It was just really traumatizing and scary.
And that was Armani Garcia. She said her best friend's sister was one of the many people who was shot. Right now, she's trying to figure out her condition at this time. But we do know that 6 people were killed and more than 24 people in the hospital.
So Bex is saying, and why are these mass shooters allowed to be arrested alive? Well, because first of all, there's a thing here in the United States. You can't cherry pick the benefits of being an American here. You're just going to have to accept even the things that you don't necessarily like. And there is a thing called due process. That person, believe it or not, has rights. And I see what you're saying. I say shoot on the spot, but I know that's not PC. It's not so much that it's not PC. It's a what? That's so funny. Yeah, don't request money from me on PayPal. I'm not sending you money. Sorry about that. Yeah, unfortunately, you know, it's not always it's not always real convenient when it comes to situations that anger us as much as something like this does. You know, like me personally, I can only give my opinion on this because this is a matter of opinion. Whenever a mass shooter ends up being shot by the cops or ends up taking their own life, whenever that happens, I'm not shedding any tears. Trust me, I'm not. But there's a part of me that wants to see them go to trial, wants to see them wants to see them arrested, and made an example of. But there's a downside to that too, because then when this person ends up going to trial, guess what happens? Inadvertently, they basically become rock stars. Everybody's talking about them. Everybody's talking about them. Everybody's putting them up on a pedestal in some weird, messed up way, and only a pedestal of attention. And then you're remembering his name and forgetting who the victims are. You know? So, you know, I mean, there's plus sides and downsides to everything. It's just, this is one of those situations. This is one of those situations where this person deserves to be shot down and forgotten about, in my personal opinion. But, you know, I mean, I am grateful for due process and that it exists, you know. I support him having the right to due process. But like I said, I'm not shedding any tears if they're shot down because I don't want to see them remembered. That's all they're trying to do is make in a cowardly fashion, make a name for themselves.
Ages of those victims ranging from 8 to 85 years old. And we were just talking to the hospital staff, the doctors, the nurses who've been dealing with this trauma all day long. And you could just tell they were visibly shaken up from the trauma that they've seen here today. And this property, the entire hospital, still essentially on lockdown as police are securing the entrances and talking to any car that pulls up, while they are also escorting nurses and doctors to their cars as they leave the hospital. But go ahead and take a listen to what those first responders had to say to us not too long ago.
Shortly after the events that occurred in downtown Highland Park, our team here at Highland Park Hospital was notified of multiple victims that were involved in a mass shooting or casualty event.
That's also a very interesting point there. You're saying, and all the money that's spent on them, right? And then there's all kinds of money and resources wasted on just the fact that he's going to get thrown in jail and probably in a liberal state get life in prison instead of being executed, instead of getting the death sentence and being executed. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a big waste of money, arguably. All right. 1 second here. Let's get a little, we're going to get a little intel on our boy. Oh, there's some footage there.
Drawn. That was immediately after that shooting started happening this morning.
And so the police are going to be looking for a lot more of that kind of video and personal video to be able to help them piece together what happened here and work with this investigation. ABC 7's Michelle Gallardo. Let's go to Christian Picos. Sorry about that. Let's go back to Christian, who's in the rain out by the fire hall. Christian, your latest.
Yeah, hey, Robbie, literally just a few minutes ago, a member of the city of Highland Park walked up to us and gave us a fly.
I don't know if that's the same guy. All right, I'm going to pause that and they're saying Bobby Cremo, the rapper. I don't know if this is the same guy, guys. Original profile has been vandalized. If this is the guy his profile showed before it was edited to say a mass shooter. So, yeah, I'm not sure that's the guy. I mean, I can't really tell because he's like stretching his eyes down and he's got a tattoo on his face, but let's see. Real quick. Joey Chaz, shut up. The more you talk in my chat, the dumber you sound. Sorry. Like at this point, I'm just like, okay, you're clearly a moron. All right. So this is the guy.
Got a little tattoo under his right eye.
Okay, no, that is him. Okay, so he's confirming the tattoo under his eye.
Talking about all day, as well as it looks like he's got tattoos on his neck as well. Again, we're told that he could be driving a 2010 silver Honda Fit with an Illinois license plate that reads DM, that's Delta Mike 80653. Again, that's an Illinois plate, Delta Mike 80653. He is considered armed and dangerous at this hour. So if you see him,
that's a
obviously do not
fucking trust fund kid, bro.
approach him. Make sure you call 911 right away. They've been looking for the suspect now all day. local, state.
Oh, nobody wants to listen to my rap because I suck. So I'm just going to shoot people. I'm going to be famous no matter what. So I'm going to shoot people.
And federal agencies have been working hand in hand to bring this individual to justice at this hour. Of course, we are going to be out here throughout the rest of the afternoon working with agencies to bring you the latest information on this active search. Again, I'm literally going to send an email into the newsroom, making sure that you guys have a picture of the suspect as well, so you guys can take him full and show us really, give you just a better look at what he looks like, just so you're not.
I got an idea. Let's ban social media. Let's do that. Let's because obviously the motive behind all of these fucking young douchebag entitled mass shooters is the need to be famous and the want for attention. So why don't we just take away the medium that would empower them in this way? Why don't we just do that, folks? Since that's clearly the problem. No, that's not the problem. Idiots are the problem. Shitty parenting is the problem.
Having to go off this piece of paper here. Again, we've seen law enforcement from all walks of life working together.
Yeah, Christian, we took that full screen already. Very handy to get that to us very quickly. We got a good look at it right there. But as you say, Highland Park officials handing you that information right now. We were promised that picture. We have the description. We know the car. We know the license plate. That this person's on the run and very dangerous.
And investigators are hoping by putting all of that out there, particularly the picture that shows some unique tattoos that individual has, that somebody will recognize him. Eric Hong is monitoring a law enforcement.
Unique tattoos?
Just about a third
Ugly
of a mile from where
tattoos.
Christian is, so we'll check back with him soon. But right now we'll go to ABC7's Michelle Gallardo. She's been at the scene of that shooting all day, and she continues our live team coverage now. Michelle, what are you looking at?
Liz, we had to take our camera down momentarily because of the weather in the area, but we're still in the area near Green Bay and Central. And I can tell you that even though it certainly appears that the search for 22-year-old Bobby Crimo is now maybe moved elsewhere outside of the Central
Cherry.
Business District, there's still over 100
So,
law enforcement.
Garger is saying that there's a Manifesto video. If you can find that, I would love to go over it.
Officers on the scene, and really not just from Highland Park, but also from the ATF and from the FBI. In fact, just in the last half hour, we began to see for the very first time crime techs from the FBI really just combing the street front to back, looking in every...
Apparently, Cherry, there's a Manifesto video. So if there's a Manifesto video, I'm going to need you to get that for me, please. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. Minus the sass. Thanks.
Little nook and cranny. There were also SWAT teams now once again going business to business, checking off the ones that they were unable to get into. So certainly, even as the search for the suspect continues, who they have now identified, there's also a search for evidence that very much continues in this Central Business District in Highland Park. Now, earlier we were able to speak to some of the people who were on the scene during this horrific incident, including a Highland Park doctor who just described what it was like to be in the middle of the chaos, trying to help as the unthinkable unfolded right in front of him.
I, along with a bunch of other people, just did what we could. We applied pressure to wounds. We started a couple IVs. All we did was not run. That's what we did. But I mean, these families, I mean, everyone lost loved one.
Cherry, you haven't sent it yet? You're not back yet?
There were a lot of injuries to lower extremities, legs. I heard somebody got shot in the foot who I know. But there was a little boy who we were trying to help do CPR on. And I hope to God that family does not lose that child.
We were sitting right here by the tracks. My 97-year-old mother, my nephew and his wife, and the dog. And all of a sudden we heard the shots, and at first firecrackers, and then I realized it didn't sound like firecrackers, and everybody was running. We got up, grabbed the chairs. He grabbed my mom in the wheelchair, just headed over there by the alley.
And again, the search for who we now know is 22-year-old Robert Cremo III continues. But even with the mass police presence that does exist still in this central business district, it does appear like the center of that search may have moved elsewhere from what we can tell in terms
She
of
will,
just
too.
the environment around here and the decrease in tension over the last couple of hours. And of course, we will bring you more information as that develops. Back to you.
Right. All right. Michelle Gallardo was speaking to us from the central area. She was actually talking about this area that we've been looking at, which is about a third of a mile away in Highland Park. That parade itself was 3/4 of the way going through, actually, when it started at the intersection of Laurel and St. John's Avenues. It headed north on St. John's. It turned west on Central Avenue, and then it was to end at Sunset Park. Let's go to Leah Hope right now, who's at the Reunification Center. She's got more details for us. Leah.
Ravi, it's been a very busy place on and off all day today. Sadly, people coming in and out of the Highland Park Police Station. We've seen a lot of law enforcement. We've seen civilians, and we've seen some volunteers bringing in some food and water, and everyone with this kind of just somber tone. Everyone very eager to figure out who this person was and why it happened. But in the meantime, the people who are coming here, they're trying to figure out what happened to their loved ones. They're also trying to offer some help. They're coming here both to offer information and to get help themselves. We might have a little video of some of the law enforcement coming in and out earlier. Obviously, the police officers here in Highland Park are very busy. All the personnel here at this police department is on hand for what happened today. Now, adding to that, people are coming here to get help themselves and to offer some information. You know, people have been impacted by this in so many different ways. Residents afraid to return home, residents now processing what happened and now realizing they may have seen something that could help with this investigation. We talked with two people who came to the police station today and were along that route.
Very scary, and just the whole neighborhood, because we live just a couple blocks from downtown where it happened. So it's a very scary thought just to think about the community and our house of being somewhere that you don't feel safe right now.
We heard bam, 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 bam. And it seemed, for the first bunch of them, seemed like it was fireworks, which kind of made a little bit of sense. You probably get in trouble if you did it, but we heard them. And everybody was just kind of like frozen. And then all of a sudden, people started getting up and screaming, and then it accelerated. And I said to my wife, I think we were, at that point, we realized this was gunfire.
So those are among some of the people who were willing to talk to us. There were a lot of people who left clearly with very somber expressions, who did not want to talk to us and share what they had been through. But one of the things that we heard from someone
All right,
coming
let me
here
address
was
that.
they
My theory on that statement there, Green Mountain off grid, I'm not going to say that the cops are worthless. I'm not going to say that. But my theory on that is that the policies for police are probably worthless. The practices that are instilled to the police and how they handle things by their superiors is probably worthless. I don't think it's. I wouldn't call a Chicago cop worthless. I would say that there's just not enough funding and not enough manpower to have been able to do anything about it.
to go home, but in all of the chaos, they actually wondered if they had locked their doors, whether their shed, whether their garage was closed before they left for the parade. Remember, people coming down here were in an elated situation, kind of a sigh of relief after 2 years of not having this parade. This was supposed to be a happy day, a celebration. So people were not on guard. So people wondering, did I shut everything up at the house? Could someone have come into my home, into my garage, into my shed, and maybe hiding? So they're wondering whether they should go home right now. Right now, the folks we talked to with that situation, they said they're just going to wait it out at neighbor's house and wait a little bit longer.
That's great, lady.
To make sure everybody.
That's great. Give the guy ideas.
safe, and then we talk with people who are now processing what they've seen because they saw so much. They saw so many people injured. They saw people dying and dead. So certainly that got their attention. But now they're wondering if maybe the person they saw, this person
You're not going to
with
like
dark
my
hair,
answer, Kelly
this,
Green. Where can we go and feel safe? You're not going to like my answer, but I'm going to say it anyway. We live in a gun violent world right now. We just do. So the most viable thing that I would think to do would be to arm yourself, take training on how to handle a firearm, how to shoot accurately, gun safety, and carry with you. Live in a state where it's legal and carry with you anywhere you go, because I'm going to feel safe if I do that. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to feel like you do right now. That's my whole thing. I don't want to feel like you do. And I do think it sucks, because you still have the freedom to not arm yourself if you don't want to. That's cool. That's why it's a right. That's why it's a right. If you would like to, sure, but for me, that's the most viable thing, because I truly believe that the more people who are armed, the less likely somebody like that is going to behave in this manner. The less likely somebody like that is going to feel brave enough to do something like this. If there is a risk that the first round that he shoots off, somebody is going to instinctively pull their firearm from their waist or wherever they're holding it and put the dude down. If that person has that fear, because that would be a likelihood, that type of person is less likely to arm themselves and act in this manner. And it's sad that we've gotten there, Kelly Green. It's sad that we've gotten there, but it is what it is. I don't like guns. I'm not up here all pro guns. I'm not. I don't like guns. They do nothing for me. Did I get some sort of satisfaction when I went to the gun range and I hit my target? But it was no different than the same satisfaction I get from passing a level on a video game. I didn't get at some sort of power drunk because, oh my God. And there was a guy, I remember the last time I went to the gun range, there was this guy who took his young son to the gun range. Kid couldn't have been more than 13 years old. And the dad, after the kid shot the gun, the dad was like, man, how'd that make you feel? Like, oh, right? And the kid was just kind of like, I don't know. And I was just like, yeah, see, I can't relate to dudes like that. I can't relate to those people who feel like powerful because they fired a gun. I can understand, because you have the power of life and death in your hand. But I don't like that power. I don't enjoy that power. I don't crave that power. I don't necessarily like guns, but I'm a realist. We live in a society where there are guns, and they're everywhere, and bad people have them. So people who have that understandable, that understandable jolt of adrenaline because of the power that's in their hands when they fire a gun, there are people who have that on top of the desire to actually take lives. And I personally believe in independence. And again, you don't get to cherry pick what independence means, because independence isn't always convenient. Independence comes with the responsibility of having accountability. It just does. There's no escaping that. If you want to be independent, independent means you're taking care of yourself. If you truly want independence, that means that you are not entitled to a damn thing. That means you're not entitled to police protection. See where I'm getting at? You're not entitled to it. Police protection, in my opinion, should be looked at as police assistance. I'd like to get to a place in our society where the police are only there to assist us. I want to be able to take care of myself, not wait and call 911 when I'm in trouble. I don't want to be in that position where I have to wait and rely on a good response time. You know what I mean? Joey Chaz, I'm not going to boot you, but I'm going to time you out because it's just going to amuse me to do it. It's just going to amuse me to do it because you just sound stupid with your comments. Don't boot him though, Cherry. Just time him out whenever he says something stupid. I feel like that's more effective to idiots like that. It's like, sit down, sit in the corner, sit in the corner. Oh shit. Okay, I have to actually hold on. It's empty, Cherry. You didn't actually send the link. There's nothing in the email. Cherry, you're up for review. Okay. This shoddy moderation is going to have to improve. Okay. We're going to have to evaluate your performance. You're up for review. Okay.
The person of interest, the suspect, we now have the name of, whether maybe they saw him somewhere near the scene. This is just a cart coming out behind me. If people hear the noise behind me, I know everyone's really in a...
Are you seriously inbred, Garger? Is that your real name? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I never talked to anybody who's actually inbred. Like, I mean, that's not your fault, you know? Like, it's not your fault that your brother and sister or your mom and dad are brother and sister. It's a bummer. You really got the shit end of life. No, I figured you were kidding. I figured you were kidding. Wouldn't that be fucked up? Yeah, and you know, I was conceived and born in buttfuck West Virginia, and you know, my parents named me Garger, you know, because that's all I can say out loud.
A heightened state of alert. So if you hear the loud noise, it's just a cart. But, you know, he's wondering whether he might have seen something now that he's had us all that happened
Let's
today.
fast forward to
so
live
everyone...
here. Let's
area here, and they have been allowed in, but this area here, this particular block on McDaniels, appears to be really the focus of investigators' attention right now. And as you can see, a lot of personnel here with a lot of resources that have been brought to this.
Yeah, Cherry is the backbone of this entire channel. Like, when I talk to her like this, I do not mean a word of it at all. Like, this channel would absolutely fall apart without her. She's fantastic.
Residential area. Roughing this.
Monitoring this law enforcement situation as it's changed over the past hour or so. He's in the area of Deerfield and McDaniels in the Highland Park area, sort of watching how law enforcement progresses and where things have been cordoned off. But now we want to take you to a photo and some more information on that person of interest that police are now looking for. We are told his name is Robert Cremo. He goes by Bobby E. Cremo III. Police say he's 22 years old and is said to be driving a 2010 Honda Fit that's silver in color. Our Christian Picos is talking to witnesses and police at the shooting scene. He's been camped out outside the Highland Park Fire Department, where we have been receiving those updates. So we're going to go to him in just a minute. But first, let's talk to, I believe, our Michelle Gallardo, who's live in downtown Highland Park, where things have been pretty blocked off for the last several hours since that shooting happened. Michelle?
Certified quality.
All right. A little standby.
That's what I've got Cherry looking into right now. Apparently, this dude has a manifesto on video. Of course he does. And Cherry is looking for that for me right now, and as soon as I get it, because if it's out there, Cherry will find it. So as soon as I get it, I will play it and we'll go over it and try to break down this shit bag.
Center of that scene.
All right, let's go to this is again the firehouse here, and this is in Highland Park. We're also, I want to let you know that we're standing by waiting for the governor, and there is Senator Tammy Duckworth, who's going to be speaking.
My name is Nancy Rotering, Mayor of the City of Highland Park, NANCYROTERING. This is a terribly difficult day and the bloodiest that we've experienced in Highland Park. We're fortunate to be supported by our law enforcement community and federal, state, county, and local government officials who have all offered resources as we work to apprehend the perpetrator and protect Highland Park and nearby communities. We appreciate that President Biden has called to offer his condolences and many federal resources. Thank you to my fellow mayors who have reached out from across the country, many of whom lead communities who have experienced this pain and tragedy. Thank you to Governor Pritzker, Senator Duckworth, Congressman Schneider, Senator Morrison, Representative Morgan,
All right.
and ISP Director Brendan Kelly for joining us today.
Sorry,
Their
guys.
support
I'm cutting
and
her
assistance
off.
is appreciated and critical at this
Give me 1 second here. Okay. Of course JLR does, because he's a fucking jackass.
Like a sleepwalker, I am breaking through no matter what.
All right. So trigger warning, guys. This is the manifesto of this shooter. Let's see what this guy's agenda was.
Like a sleepwalker, unable to stop and think, my actions will be valiant, and my thought is unnecessary. I know what I have to do. I know what's in it, not only for me, but for everyone else. Where am I going? I don't know. I don't care. There is no past or future.
He's already a douchebag. Already.
It is more abstract than I could ever imagine. I can feel the atmosphere pushing me in. It's unstoppable. Like a wave pulling me under. I can't breathe without it. I can't see or hear what I don't want. I need to leave now. I need to just do it.
This guy
It
fits
is my destiny. Everything has led up to this.
everything.
Nothing can stop me, not even myself. Is there such thing as free will? Or has this been planned out like a cosmic recipe? It is what I've been waiting for in the back of my head, ready to be awakened. It's what I was sent here to do, like a sleepwalker, walking steady with my head held high, like a sleepwalker, walking blindly into the night.
Okay, that's all I got right now. I think there's a second part to that, but I'm not sure if there is or not. I appreciate you finding that for me, Cherry. If Cherry's not in the chat, I guarantee that she's out looking for more of this. But yeah, I mean, he didn't say jack shit. That's this guy, he's just a big pussy. I mean, he falls under the same category of every single fucking person that has done this shit before. This is the same fucking guy, just in a different fucking body. Like an entitled little pussy with the need with a need for attention, crying out like a baby for attention. You know who he is? He's JLR with the balls to actually go through with the shit that's on his mind. And I'm not praising this kid for doing it. I'm saying it's the same shit. He's a clout chasing little douchebag. I mean, that's all this kid is. He's a clout chasing little douchebag. Like, he's not. He gave no motive in that video. Nothing. Just. I feel like the world's closing in on me and nobody understands me. Boo hoo. The walls are all closing in on me. Dude, get a fucking helmet, bro. Like, everybody's fucking life is hard, dude. You're not the only fucking one that life is hard for. The difference between you and me is that I don't fucking cry about it. I have an understanding that life is going to get harder. Like, this is the kind of person that doesn't even put himself in the position of somebody who has to live life in a fucking wheelchair. Not for 1 second. My problems are worse. No, they're not. My problems are terrible. They're too much for me. Dude, try living as a blind person, asshole. Try living as a deaf person. Dude, what happened to that kind of parenting, man? What happened to the kind of parenting? Like, just basic, I bet you this is a kid who fucking threw a fit when his mom didn't get him the right flavor Go-Gurts. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, when I was a kid, my mom would be cooking or my grandmother would be cooking. Like, perfect example. I'd go in the kitchen, my grandmother would be cooking, and I'd be like, Abuela, ¿qué estás preparando para cena? Right? Which means, what are you making for dinner? And she would say, molondrone con mango, which means monkey brains with mango. Right? That was her sarcastic way of going, whatever the fuck I cook, you're going to eat or you're going to starve, because there are people who are starving and don't get to eat jack shit. So either you're going to eat or you're not. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to make food and provide it for you, and either you can choose to eat it or not. That's how I was brought up. But that's not the way anybody parents anymore. I see this shit all the time, dude. I see this shit all the time. I see parents all the time going, okay, I'm sorry I didn't get you McDonald's. We'll get it on the way back. I promise. That shit doesn't, dude, that shit wouldn't fly when I was a kid. Mom, I want my McDonald's. If it's got ketchup, if they didn't want ketchup, they throw the shit out the window. And the mom goes, I can't believe you just did that. Oh, God, I can't believe you're making me go back to McDonald's and get you another burger. That's the solution. Like, my mom would be like, what? Okay. You just threw that shit out the window? Some bird's going to be real happy. Some fucking street cat is going to be really happy. You know what I mean? No, again, Kelly Green, I totally agree. And I've gone over this shit before. That kid right there is just, he is totally giving me the impression. Let me just play his shit one more time real quick. Let me just, hold on. I'm going to mute it though, because I don't want to hear his bullshit. He's selling what on Amazon, Cherry? What? Hold on a second. Can I mute this shit? Is there a
Like
way to
a sleepwalker,
mute this?
I am breaking through no matter what. Like a sleepwalker, unable to stop and think.
All right. Let's break this kid down real quick. I mean, he's got entitled written all over him. And no, this is I blame parents for this shit. I blame how parenting is, because this kid's parents are not the people who give him a house and put clothes on his back and feed him. That's not who his parents are. That's not who's parenting and guiding this kid. It's social media that's parenting and guiding this kid. It's his iPhone and his iPad and his PC, you know, or his MacBook. That's who's doing the parenting here. And this is a result of that. Why did that guy get more views than I did? Like, social media is fine, dude. I'm using it right now. Like, I get that. You know what I mean? Like, sure, you know, is it nice when you have, you know, 1,000 people in your chat? Great. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to just revolve my content around what I think is going to get me 1,000 people in my chat necessarily. You know what I mean? Like, I will talk about things that I have strong opinions on. And a lot of times it's things like this that will lose me subscribers. I probably have lost, man, who knows? Let me see. I can tell you right now if I lost subs since I started this stream. No, I actually gained 4, but that never happens, by the way. I think maybe I already like cleaned house when it came to this subject and everybody, because everybody who was going to unsubscribe from me for having these opinions have already done so. And if you haven't, now's your chance. Go ahead. But I mean, that's what technology is today for these kids. It's pacification, dude. It's pacification. Like kids are gonna whine. That's just how it works, right? Kids are gonna whine. You know, kids are gonna cry and complain. They're not gonna naturally be grateful. Human beings are fucked up animals, dude. We have the capability of being civilized, but that's part of growing up, is having somebody guide us and nurture us to being grateful and teaching us gratitude as we grow up. That's what parenting is supposed to be. So when a kid cries and whines and complains about, I want an iPhone, I want an iPhone, I want an iPhone, you can either say, no, you know what? We're going to get a baseball and a bat, or we're going to put you in karate classes, and then we're going to put you in dance classes. We're going to get you a skateboard, all these different things, and then you decide which one you like. But you're not going to sit there with your face buried into a little idiot box that fits in your pocket. That's not going to happen. So you could either be the kind of parent that either does that or says, Jesus Christ, fine, just shut up so that I can watch my TV shows. So that I can go cheat on your mom here. You know, like, that's the kind of shit that goes on now. Just here. Okay, fine, whatever you want. Just shut the fuck up here. And then what happens? These assholes whine and bitch. My parents don't love me. They give me everything I fucking want because I cry and bitch about it, but they don't love me. Which there's some truth to that. You know what I mean? Like, they have a right, because they're not feeling the love from mom or dad, are they? Because there's no love behind that. There's no love in just giving a kid whatever the fuck they want just to shut them the fuck up. Like, you put your kid on a schedule and you limit their time on video games, and you limit their time on, you know, I'm not going to sit here and say that social media is the problem, because it's not. Because if you're a responsible human being, you could utilize social media responsibly. Boom, Catherine. You want a gun? You could choose college or the military. Agreed. Now, that's assuming that the parents bought this kid all his guns, and that he got his guns from his dad's closet. You know what I mean? Like, or garage. We don't know how he got the guns. He's 22 years old. But I guarantee you, if the kid knows how to buy a bag of weed, if he has the resources to find out how to buy a bag of weed, or buy a bag, well, I think it's legal in Illinois now, but if he has the resources to know how to buy a bag of cocaine, he has the resources to buy a gun in Chicago. Guaranteed. You don't think a 22-year-old kid with a with a Honda Fit, a Honda Fit with great gas mileage, can drive across state lines, go to a gun show, pick up a gun, no questions asked? You don't think he can do that? And again, I don't even think that's the case. I think because Chicago has such strict gun laws, the crime has gone up, not because of the gun laws. The crime hasn't gone up simply because of the gun laws. I'm going to get to why it's gone up because of the gun laws, because I stated this earlier when I was talking. But this is for the people who have just recently joined. So ever since the mayor got soft on crime has gone up. And guess what? Now Chicago has strict gun laws. And what do you think a criminal enterprise is that's lucrative in Chicago? Gun sales. Right or wrong? So since crime has gone up, the demand for guns is going to go up. And so that is just as much of a criminal enterprise as, say, cocaine, heroin, or anything else. And so the demand for a criminal to purchase a firearm has gone up in Chicago. Which brings me to my point. Gun laws do dick. Nothing. Right. No. I'm aware of that, but I'm also aware of the fact that the current mayor has gone soft on crime in the last 2 years. Focused on bullshit that doesn't matter. It's a suburb of Chicago. Who cares? Yeah, okay. Let's split hairs in our arguments. I love this argument too. Gun laws eradicated gun violence in Australia. Okay. First of all, Australia is an island of its own. Nothing close to it. Okay. It's going to be a lot more difficult to get guns in there. But technically, gun laws eradicated gun violence for the most part in England. Doesn't mean people don't get stabbed. In fact, there's a lot of stabbings going on in England. So again, I've made this point before. Why don't we ban knives or sharp objects in England to solve the stabbing problem? Let's do that, right? Let's create laws to where unless you are a certified chef and you get a license to use a knife in a kitchen, if you're holding a knife, then you should be locked up. You want to, I mean, why? Why not? I mean, what's the difference between that and a gun law here? Seriously, what's the difference? No, okay, well, you don't have a mass shooting problem in England, sure. But again, my solution, in theory, more good people with guns outnumbering bad people with guns. because the bad people with guns are generally cowards and are going to be afraid to pull shit like this. They're going to be a lot less likely to pull shit like this. They're going to be a lot less inclined to pull shit like this. Because if a dude who's planning to shoot up a Walmart walks into a Walmart where the common consensus is that everybody in that Walmart probably has a gun, that person's not going to figure that they're going to walk out of there alive. So they're going to be the instinct of survival is going to kick in, and they're going to be less likely to walk into a Walmart and start shooting people because they know that somebody's going to put them the fuck down fast. Not to mention that happening versus calling 911 and waiting for a police officer to respond. There being all this response time. Somebody just with the grace of a response time being utilized to murder as many people as they possibly can. Whereas if you take that off the table by instilling the fear that any decent civilian is probably armed, is going to put them down before they even get the chance for due process. Because these people love to hide behind their rights too. They want to bitch and moan about America and then be like, oh, but I have my rights. I want my phone call. I want my lawyer. You remember Harold and Kumar go to Guantanamo Bay, the second one, where Rob Corddry's like, oh, you want rights? Is it freedom o'clock? There's some truth to that. Like, they were innocent, but I mean, yeah, like, I totally agree with that shit. If you're some terrorist piece of shit who shut down Independence Day in Chicago, shut it down. Totally. Independence Day's canceled now because of this asshole. Cock meat sandwich. That's what this dude needs. He needs a cock meat sandwich. I mean, think about that shit. Let's see if there's any updates. It doesn't look like it, but we're going to.
Shelter-in-place boundaries that are established right now. Green Bay Road to Laurel Avenue to St. John's Avenue to Elm Place. If you are in a home or a business that's within this area, you are asked to stay inside until this police operation comes to an end. The scenes coming out of Highland Park are dramatic, but the stories of survival are even more shocking. Trey Ward was one of the first reporters on the scene.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying.
Who were there when that gunfire rang out.
Yeah, it's canceled, dude. It's canceled in Chicago. They're telling everybody to stay inside. Like, everybody.
And second, that's where police say this all occurred and unfolded when that suspect climbed upon a business and shot from up above. We want to listen to what one mother and what one father said happened.
All I thought about is just, getting my daughter to safety, and I ran with her We went to the nearest McDonald's, and she lost her shoe along the way, my daughter, and she was scared. All I wanted her is to be safe.
When the shot stopped again, that's when we decided we had to run, so we started shooting again, and we ran behind the building, and I put my son in a dumpster.
And Armani Garcia says that her best friend's sister is one of the people who was shot. As far as Alexander, he said when he returned back to that stage area where he ran from, he saw several people shot on the ground. He also saw a police officer comforting a young boy, a sign and a display that despite this tragedy, that the strength in this community is unwavering. Back to you guys.
All right, Trey Ward, who's been on scene all day, one of the first reporters there. Trey, great work. Thank you so much. We'll check in with you in a little bit. The investigation has not been focused on just Highland Park and all this.
Right, which was exactly what this guy's agenda was. I
Where
guarantee
there's
it.
also been a large police presence in connection with the shooting. Eric, tell us where you are and what's happening.
Yeah, Ravi, the search for that person of interest appears to have brought law enforcement to this residential neighborhood less than half a mile from where that hail of gunfire was rained upon parade goers. Over my shoulder right now is the corner of Deerfield Road and McDaniels Avenue.
Hold on, I'm going to do a J is for Justice. You ready?
Couple of months or so, there's been quite a large police presence. Armored vehicles. We've seen officers with long guns and canine units from various law enforcement agencies. We've got state police here, as well as obviously Highland Park Police, as well as sheriff's deputies here. Their attention appears focused on a residence on McDaniels Avenue, which is around the corner from where we're standing right now. It's in the middle of the block, we understand it to be, a home that may be connected, possibly connected to that person of interest, Bobby Cremo. Our ABC7 producer, Christine Tressel, she's a little bit closer to that home. She tells me that several officers are right now camped out in front of the home. They've been there for quite some time. They're not in any kind of ready deployment, ready position to enter the house, but instead seem to be in more of a kind of a wait and see mode. They've been seen talking to a female resident outside of the house, but other than that, not that much activity over the last hour or so, at least. We have seen some neighbors outside of their houses to come out to see exactly what's taking place in their neighborhood, but for the most part, nearby residents, they seem to be heeding the order that's been issued by law enforcement out here to try to stay inside their home, stay away from the area. And again, we're just less than half a mile, really about a third of a mile from that downtown area where the shooting took place. And right now, as that search for that person of interest continues, law enforcement, they have deployed quite a bit of manpower as well as resources here in this residential neighborhood to that residence that we believe may be connected to that person of interest. We're live right now in this area, half a mile from downtown. Back to you guys.
All right, Eric, thanks very much. The sun has come back out where Eric is. We can hear the helicopters above as well. Thank you so much. Now, this parade was 3/4 of the way kind of moving through when all the shooting started. That parade started at the intersection of Laurel and St. John's Avenues, and then it was heading north on St. John's in Highland Park. It turned west on Central Avenue, as you can see, and it was to end at Sunset Park. And surveillance video from inside one of the businesses. Take a look here, located along the parade route, showing us a very different perspective of the panic outside. You can see people there banging on the door, trying to get in, trying to save themselves right there. It is dramatic indeed. People crouching, looking for any kind of safety as police officers go by with guns right there. Now, Michelle Gallardo joining us again live from along the parade route with more on what
I don't know how accurate this is. Give me a second here, folks. I don't know how accurate this is, but I tried to look up his dad, and I'm seeing what comes up, and it says Chicago Tribune, business profile, Bob's Pantry and Deli. So apparently his dad owns something called Bob's Pantry and Deli. I'm not sure if that's his dad, though. I'm just kind of putting two and two together because I Googled Robert Cremo II. And I don't know, he looks kind of like him, but it looks like a place called Bob's Pantry and Deli. There's a Chicago Tribune article here. And it's in Highland Park. Like, he's a Highland Park local. Yeah, so I'm gonna put money on this is his actual dad. So his dad is definitely a successful business owner. Looks like a small business owner. Let me. Cherry, listen, you're treading on thin ice, young lady, okay? Oh, really? Okay. All right, let's learn a little bit more about old buddy here. Give me a second here, guys. All right. All right. So authorities have identified potential person of interest in the Highland Park, Illinois 4th of July parade shooting as 22-year-old Robert Bobby E. Cremo III. Cremo is also known as Awake the Rapper. Wow. So anybody in the chat want to say this kid wasn't woke? Anybody? I mean, he literally named himself Awake the Rapper. Okay. IMDb describes Cremo as a 6-foot hip-hop phenom born on September 20th, 2000. He's the middle child. He's actually only 21. He hasn't turned 22 yet. He's the middle child of 3 and of Italian descent. Robert E. Cremo, 22, has been identified as a person of interest in the July 4th parade attack in Highland Park, Illinois, in which at least 6 people were killed. Cremo began uploading his music to the internet at age 11, but gained traction with his 2016 track, By the Pond. Sorry, I lost my place here. Featuring Atlas, according to IMDb, his estimated net worth is $100,000. Yeah, yeah. He's a little spoiled bitch. Cremo is the son of Bob Cremo, president at Bob's Pantry and Deli. Like I said, in Highland Park. According to his Facebook account, the father ran for Highland Park mayor in 2020. Interesting. The rapper released a cryptic track called Are You Awake? On October 15th, 2021, the track appears to suggest that Cremo was planning a life-defining act beyond his ability to stop. The video includes drawings of a man aiming a rifle at another person. Yeah, we saw this. We watched this. Screenshot from Awake. Rapper's video, Are You Awake? Like a sleepwalker. This is that right there. Like a sleepwalker, I am unable to stop and think. My actions will be valiant, and my thought is unnecessary. I thought I know what I have to do. All right, well, dude, All right. So my actions will be valiant, he says. And he says, my thought is unnecessary, but I know what I have to do. Isn't that contradictory, buddy? I know what's in it, not only for me, but for everyone else. What's in it for me, asshole? What's in it for the people you shot? There is no past or future, just the now. It is more abstract than I can ever imagine. I can feel the atmosphere pushing me in. It's unstoppable, like a wave pulling me under. I can't breathe without it. I need to leave now. I need to just do it. It is my destiny. Everything is led up to this. Nothing can stop me, not even myself. Somebody help me from myself. Is there such a thing as free will, or has there been planned out like cosmic recipe? What a fucking tool. This guy's a whiny little bitch. That's all he is. Why these guys always just whiny little bitches, dude? Why? It's what I've been waiting for in the back of my head, ready to be awakened. It is what I've been sent here to do, like a sleepwalker. Shut up. And here's his pops right here. I'm guessing that's not his mom. Probably like a stepmom, maybe. All right. Sorry, I want to keep looking into this.
We've seen so many people come and go, some folks in law enforcement, some civilians, and you have some folks bringing in some items right now, I assume, from one of the local retailers. And whether it's police officers or the civilians who have come here for help and comfort and information, it seems that they are going to be here for a while. As we know, the search, this manhunt continues at this hour. But here at this reunification center, this is really the Highland Park Police Department. So this is the epicenter of the police operations, and this is where they are working out of. We've seen a lot of police cars come and go. We've seen police cars from other jurisdictions. As we know, everyone who is close by, who is available, has come to help. And we've also seen that with the civilians, not only people coming to bring food and water and supplies and things like that, but we've seen just residents stopping by, sharing their thoughts with us. We also have talked with some people who have come out of this place, who have been waiting outside of this place, who prefer to not be on camera, but their hearts are heavy.
We
are
appreciate you,
looking
Cherry.
for
Thank you.
loved ones. There are some stories that that I don't even feel comfortable relaying to you. Some graphic stories, families looking for loved ones, looking for children. We've seen people just in a panic coming out of here.
No, LV, his dad was not a mayor. He ran for mayor, but he didn't win.
That we did shoot, that we feel comfortable showing, of some of the officers coming in and out, as I mentioned before. Officers coming in and out because this is their base of operation, and we have some folks just leaving now who have dropped off some supplies, and certainly, as Mayor was mentioning, just a sad day, a difficult day, a day that was supposed to be a holiday, and instead turned quite tragic and quite violent. People here have been.
It's a day that was supposed to be a celebration of independence. And again, guys, this is not a left-right thing. I want to be very, very clear about this. This is not a question of left versus right, because look, here I am criticizing this guy as a parent, right? Because obviously he didn't give his kid enough attention. You know, he's got what looks to be a pretty significantly younger trophy wife. He's a business owner. And if he ran for mayor, that means he ran, I would guess that he ran as a Republican, because the mayor that's currently in office in Chicago is now, maybe he ran for mayor in Highland Park. Sorry, I got confused. So he probably didn't run for mayor of Chicago. He ran for mayor of Highland Park. So yeah, so that, just forget anything that I just said, honestly, because it really doesn't matter. But again, it's not a left versus right thing. It's just a simple question of, did this kid get the right guidance? And is he just spoiled by social media? Is he just pacified by social media and didn't feel like he got enough love from his family? I think it was 2020 is what I read, but I don't know. But yeah, I think it's definitely a parenting thing, but it's not a left versus right thing. You know what I mean? Like, we live in a social media world. Whether you're on the left or you're on the right, social media has taken over everything. And I'm not blaming social media. It just is. It's a technology that's incredibly convenient. But it's like anything else. It should be used responsibly. It should not be used to babysit your children. It should not be used to pacify your children. It should be used to educate them, and it should be used and it should be presented to your children as a form of reward, as a luxury. It's like when I was a kid, I had this thing called Speak and Spell, right? Y'all are old as fuck like me. You guys know what Speak and Spell was, right? I love that thing. I played with it all the time, right? Probably helped me with spelling. I actually take pride in my ability to spell. Like, I was ahead of everybody when I was a kid. I was behind in grades, but for some reason, like grammar, English, that stuff, like it just made sense to me. Like, I would sit down and I wouldn't pay attention to the teacher, and then they'd give me a test or an assignment, and the grammar stuff just made sense to me. But I had this thing called the Speak and Spell, and I played with it all the time. Now, this was considered technology at the time. It was really cool. And the thing is at some point I got tired of utilizing it because it was so limited. All I could do with it was spell. That's all I could do, right? Now, had this piece of technology had the same amount of information as an entire library, had this little piece of technology had the same ability that a phone does, it had a calculator, it had a camera, it had the ability to communicate with literally anyone with a similar device, I'd never have put that thing down. Because if I wasn't on the Speak and Spell, well, I was on the Atari or my ColecoVision. You know what I mean? Or watching TV. But my mom, I shouldn't say parents, but my mom monitored what I watched. She didn't let me watch rated R movies, only under certain circumstances. She wouldn't take me to rated R movies, except the one time when we were living in Dominican Republic and she took me to see Porky's, thinking that it was a Porky Pig movie. She didn't know any better. It was her mistake. Imagine her shock when the very first scene, they're at a strip club and there's just boobs flying around everywhere, and I'm 7 years old. So, yeah. But my mom did what she could. And a lot of parents still do that today. You know, I'm sure there's a lot of you in my chat who have kids and who are like, no, I make sure that, you know, I limit the amount of violence that they're exposed to on television, things of that nature. But my mom didn't really care about violence. You know, my mom cared about like, she cared about smut. You know, I mean, she's Hispanic. She wanted to make sure that and also it was inconvenient for her if I watched scary movies because I would get scared and I wouldn't go to sleep. And that made it a pain in the ass for her. But once in a while, she would indulge me. Once in a while, you know, if it was like a really popular scary movie that was just about to come out, you know, my brother was pushing for it. You know, it was like, okay, you know, all right, you can watch the new Jason movie, you know. But man, I'm telling you, if you come into my room in the middle of the night with your bullshit, we're going to have a problem. You know, there were those conditions, but it wasn't here. Sit down, watch this and shut up. Leave me alone. Can I get a moment's peace? Now, my mom did say that from time to time. Any parent would. Sure, I get it. But there were boundaries set. You know? Dude, look at porn. Anybody can access porn. If you have a phone, an iPad, whatever, you can access an unlimited amount of porn. It is crazy. Dude, the struggle. I've talked about this on my channel before. The struggle behind getting porn when I was 13 years old. Because I discovered it and then I was like, I need more of that. So look at how porn is obtained today. And what I had to do as a kid was I had to discuss porn with schoolmates and then plan a caper, right? I had to plan a caper, basically. I would have to be like, hey, dude, this is what we're going to do. Okay, you say that your dad has this much porn. All right, listen, this is what we're going to do. Because he's going to see it missing, right? What time does your dad leave for work? All right, we're going to cut class. So I would take my bike. I would put my VCR in my backpack. I would skip school. I would put my VCR in my backpack, pedal my ass 2 miles or so or however far my friend's house was, to his house. And I would hook my VCR up to his VCR with a blank tape in mine and his dad's porn. And then we would have to sit there and dub it. And that's real time, people. You can't just download it in 5 seconds. That's not how that shit worked. If it was a 2-hour video, we had to sit there for 2 hours. It was an all-day event. Okay, what time does your dad get home from work? All right, we got to be out of here 30 minutes before he's expected. So, or 30 minutes before your mom is expected. Or at least have the VCR out of here and the tape put back where it belongs. That's what you had to do. Now a kid can just take what their parents gave them to shut them up and watch the most deviant, fucked up shit if they were so inclined to find it. Dude, it shocked me. I remember my son had, when he was like 10, he had some shitty friend of his, this kid that both me and his mom couldn't stand. And I'd argue with his mom and be like, why are you letting him hang around this fucking kid? That kid would spam me with porn. Like the most fucked up looking porn you ever saw. Where I had to get in touch with this kid's parents and be like, do you understand what your fucking kid is doing? And then the parents got defensive with me. Like, worry about your own kid, blah, blah, blah. I am. I am worried about my kid. What the fuck are you talking about, lady? I am worried about my kid. The problem is you're not worried about yours. Because you're not acknowledging the fact that there's something terribly wrong with the fact that your 10-year-old kid is emailing me the most horrific porn that I've ever even, I never even thought existed. And that was back in 2010, dude. It's crazy, man. Your 93-year-old mom still has a VCR? I still have a VCR. That shit's tried and true, baby. I mean, I never use it, but it's hooked up. And I just moved. I pulled it out of a box and I got it there just in case. I don't know why. Never turn it on, never use it, but it's there and it works. You never know. Internet might go down. Might have to pull some old VHSs out. I got Varsity Blues in my in my VCR right now. But the thing is I could stream that on multiple different streaming services right now. Dude, I've built and gotten rid of so many DVD collections. I just don't keep stuff, man. Like, for the most part, I just don't keep shit. You know, I'm not a stuff guy. You know why? Because I hate moving. And I always move every couple of years, at least, you know? At least every few years. I always move. So, a dresser? Nope. I'll get a new bed every time. Oh, I refused to have a microwave in my house when my son lived with me, because I was working so much. He was a teenager, and I had to rely on him to rely on himself to cook his food. And I wasn't about to just pack the fucking fridge with a bunch of microwavable bullshit. I put him in a position to where he had to cook for himself. I had a rice cooker. I had working stove, pots, pans, and meats in the fridge. You know, I mean, because, okay, kill two birds with one stone. He eats semi-healthy and he learns how to cook and take care of himself. But no, because if I put a bunch of meats and healthy food in there and then like 4 boxes of Hot Pockets, well, guess what? He's just going to eat the Hot Pockets. You know what I mean? Because there's nobody there to fucking tell him, like, no, dude, you need to eat some chicken and some rice and some beans. Yeah. You guys want to know why I'm mean to Cherry? You guys want to know why? because she hates cheese. That is a sign of evil. Okay, it's a sign of a bad person. All right, I'm not saying she's a bad person. I'm just saying it's a trait of a bad person. Okay, Cherry hates cheese. It's weird. Nobody hates cheese.